In this episode of the Texas Private School Podcast, All Saints looks to make it a clean sweep of the top division in TAPS. Bishop Lynch looks to get their get back against the Mustangs of Midland. Has the Kinkaid defense fallen off? Is Lutheran South or Hyde Park the true contenders in the D2 South? And is this the year for Fort Worth Christian to knock off Second Baptist? All this and more in the Week 2 preview of the Texas Private School Podcast. Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Texas Private School Podcast. As always, I am one-third of your hosting crew, Wes Tolleson, calling in from Dallas, Texas. Walker Lott and Ryan Schroeder call in from College Station, Texas, and Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, respectively, where Ryan Schroeder is probably about $300 poorer now than he was before he called into the space on Friday. Well, Ryan, I will put you on blast. Why were you driving so fast when we are trying to be safe, promote responsibility on our Twitter spaces on Friday nights?
The state trooper in Weatherford was just not on the same page as I was. I was definitely probably ripping into some random SBC 3A team at the time that he decided to pull me over. And I guess this ticket, which I will not show on camera because it probably has personal information, but this ticket definitely not very fun. So next Twitter space, hopefully not the same happens.
Again, I told you before the episode, but you can take solace in knowing that you are now the second person of the
Mm.
TXPS crew to get pulled over during a Twitter space. Mine did not result in a ticket, but that's just because I can outsmart the 5-0. But that
Mm.
being said, Walker
All
Lot,
right.
Yep.
no drama from your end from Friday
No.
night. There was a dramatic game, but you didn't have any run-ins with the law. Anything interesting from then till now? I say that we already had the A&M game. We've done all this before. Your thoughts on the upcoming slate in private school football?
No, yeah, it's been good. Oh, on Friday, because of this space, I missed my exit on the 6th coming back from Houston. So I missed the exit and I was driving on 290 for 20 more minutes. And then I realized, wait, this is not 6. And then I turned around and I got home at like 1:30. Not a good time. But besides that, that's only been anything interesting. Other than that, great slate. Fantastic slate of these 5 games. And there's like 6, 7 actual games that could be on this pick'em week, and I'm really excited to see um, how they turn out, and very excited for that. And shout out my boy Pierce Newcomb for listening. I found out he listens, one of my friends, and I just wanted to shout him out for listening. So, yeah, Wes, let's go get into the games.
I think the whole 6-7 thing's even funnier is because we're like probably like 4 months behind the eight ball on it, and I
Oh
just think
yeah,
I just think it's hilarious just
for
because I mean
sure.
it solidifies Unk status for sure. But again, we're gonna keep this one short and sweet. We're gonna go straight into the 5 games that we have to cover because there is a lot of ground to cover on all of these. We're gonna start with the second round of All Saints trying to knock off the top teams in Division One. Fort Worth All Saints number one versus number one Prestonwood Christian, where Prestonwood is a 5.5 point favorite. After slaying the Giant in their opener, All Saints gets to do it all again in week 2 as they travel to Plano to try and complete the second straight sweep of the D1 Titans. We figured out very quickly what All Saints was working with last Friday. Burke Toller was an absolute man on the ground, especially behind big dogs such as Drew Edmonds, Hayden Powell Freeman, and Jax Thomas. While the passing attack was somewhat muted, the talent All Saints has is not. And I would expect for one of Hudson Reserve, Gabe Starling, or Hatton French to eclipse the century mark with Gavin Beard slinging them the rock. Defensively, the Saints have not lost any ground, which is incredibly surprising considering guys like Dalton Knapp and Jacob Maynard depart from the front 7. When you have dudes like Ryan Powers and Kingston Byer to fill their shoes, you see why this Saints front is as menacing as ever. However, the Lions know a thing or two about reloading as well. Even after losing guys like Jack Harwell, Matthew McLean, Enzo Bingham, David Madsen, LJ Taylor, Caden Collins, and Takashi Shaw, the Lions reload their defense with some of the best athletes in the state. Enter Cam and Kaylor Pettijohn, two 6'1", 220 behemoths that supplement what was already arguably the toughest front in the state. You had Joshua Bengard, Gabe Tyree, AJ Morale, and Eddie Brownstein. And my only question is, how can you fit all of these guys on the field at once? The rich truly get richer. Shout out trickle down economics. And that's not even considering the offensive side of the ball, where the top offensive line in the state returns Caleb Kozlowski at 6'5", 320, Colt Hillhouse 6'3", 275, Kanan Smith 6'2", 292, Adam Bingard 6'6", 270, and transfer Brock Schleff 6'2", 300. Even with the loss of the three stud running backs last season, I think I could suit up and get 100 yards rushing behind those dudes. Don't fact check that. Just let me live in that mystery. You add veteran quarterback Luke Glass and athlete Tyler Shaw to that mix, and you see now why we had the Lions as our favorites to take the D1 title in the early preseason. This puts me between a rock and a hard place. It feels like career suicide to pick against All Saints in both of these games if they sweep them again. Listen, at the end of the day, it goes back exactly to what I said last preview, where I think Prestonwood, maybe on paper, is the more talented team. But look at me. I'm wearing the All Saints shirt. I have TXPS on one sleeve and Tolleson on the other. Who am I? I physically cannot force myself to pick against All Saints in this game. My pick's Prestonwood to go out and win the game. That is the pick.
You're not getting any more polos. I think they've revoked all the polos from now on, now that you just did that. So just want to let you know that.
I gave ample warning to many people on the All Saints sidelines that whenever I pick Prestonwood in the next week, it's because every time I pick against All Saints in these spots, they win. So this is the great hedge.
What the
of my
hedge
time.
bed of all hedge?
So you
beds,
don't even
dude.
wait. So do you believe in Prestonwood?
Dude. Whatever.
Yes, absolutely.
What is this
I absolutely
comment?
do.
Oh,
I have a pick record to win. I think All Saints is fantastic for all the reasons I just said. Prestonwood, both of their fronts are the best in the state. I know I went on about Parrish's front last week and how I think that wins them the game, and their pass pro had some issues. Prestonwood's front, tell me if I'm wrong, it's head and shoulders above Parrish and anyone else in the state.
I don't. Head and shoulders above everyone is crazy, but
I don't. They're better.
Sure, I'll give you that, but I don't know if they're just ginormously better.
The one question that I would have is I don't know a lot about the skill dudes on Prestonwood, especially losing guys like French Love and McLean and Enzo Bingham and all those guys that were big contributors. From talking to some people around the program, by the way, the entire Prestonwood team was at Parrish All Saints for some reason.
Also, shout out to Rich McGuire, who was also at that game. Southeastern Oklahoma coach coming back week 1 to represent TXPS and
who asked me
TXPS
several times if I had the score at the St. Thomas game, and I said, Coach, with all due respect, I'm trying to do a lot of things here. I tried to find it at one point and get to him, and then I looked and he was gone, and I felt sad. But again, that being said, I don't know. I don't know anything. I think All Saints has the better skill positions, but the better fronts lie. It's crazy with guys that have Kingston Beyer and Ryan Powers. I'm saying that about Prestonwood.
Yeah.
I talk into a microphone and say crazy things. That's my justification, Walker.
Man, you gave me all that time to think through my pick, and I'm still trying to. I'm not easy about it. It's gonna be a good game. I'm very excited for this. Shout out to All Saints playing back to back number 1 and number 2 best teams in TAPS Division 1 these past couple years, week 1 and week 2, which is awesome. It's always they're playing with the big boys, but they are one themselves. But you got to respect them moving up a division and playing them the first 2 weeks of the season back to back years. This is what it's all about. Very exciting stuff. For my pick, I think it would be ludicrous of me to not pick All Saints in this scenario, and that is what I'm going to do. I think they showed it against Parrish. Yes, that was a back and forth affair, and they luck on their side with the strip sack by Ryan Powers. But I do think they are proven their battle tested. They know what it needs to be. Granted, all Prestonwood comes off a bye. They have one more week of being fresh and ready to go. But I just think All Saints knows the level they have to play to now after that one. And I think they can play to it again. I think the weapons they have around them, Gavin Beard looked great. I'm Borg Toller. I wish he was an Eagle, but he's a Saint right now. Um,
Y'all picked up a pretty good running back yourself. I think you'll
yes.
be fine.
Okay. Side topic. Imagine him, Hudson Hayes, and Trey Mosley as a running back tier right now. Three guys, all big time weapons. Not the point.
I mean, imagine if I was 6'6" and good looking.
Yeah, that would be
I
a
mean,
shock to see.
that'd be
Um,
insane, wouldn't it?
that would be a scene. Anyways, I think defensively they showed they can compete. Their defensive prowess is one of the best in the state. Offensively, they have the weapons. I think they can get it done here. I think the question is really for Prestonwood, who's scoring the ball? Like you have William Taylor and you have Tyler Shaw. Those are the guys returning and one transferred in. What are the outside guys? Who are going to step up on the outside? The two leading receivers from last year, three receiving technically with Enzo, gone. Who steps up to the plate? And that's just a question mark I can't look over right now. I love Luke Glass. I like William Taylor. I think they can compete, and they're number two in our rankings for a reason. Number one in Division One right now. But I do think you just have there's little question marks on the outside, and I just can't overlook that right now.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely fair. Ryan Schroeder, what direction are you leaning?
Oh my gosh, man. I'm also wearing this All Saints polo that has my name on the side. So, oh gosh, wrong shoulder. Uh, Name on the side. So if it, I mean, it almost, it's hard. I was the only one that picked All Saints last week, and I was the only one that got it right, right? So I feel like in this boat right now, I feel pretty strongly that I knew the confidence going into that game for All Saints, especially with Beard and stuff. And obviously, Burke Toller took over in that second quarter. But if you want my honest opinion, they were one stop away from losing that game. All things considered, right? That's not a game All Saints is supposed to win. If Parrish was to stop them with 2 minutes left in the game, or if they would have kept the ball with that, when they gave over the ball with 2.5 minutes left and then gave the ball again, like I don't know. I'm in this boat right now where that was Parrish's game and they threw it away. Not to discredit anyone at All Saints and not to discredit that game in general, but we're seeing Prestonwood come out the gate. We're seeing the best team in D1 come out the gate with the best line. I think y'all are forgetting the fact that this is the running back, Tyler Shaw, who, second place in TAPS Division 1, 100 meter, 10.68, 100 meter. You talk about O-line, talk about being quick out the O-line. If Wes Tolleson could score, I'm pretty sure Tyler Shaw could score. By the way, totally underrated last year. Luke Glass is like actually a phenomenal quarterback. Luke Glass is a big body, kind of over the top quarterback, pocket passer. Like Luke Glass is a phenomenal quarterback, and I expect him to have a great year this year as well, especially with an O line like that. I'm not discrediting what happened last week. I clearly picked All Saints. I know they're going to win D2. I knew that they were potentially better than Parrish, but Prestonwood looks like a different team. Prestonwood is a all-rounded, stacked on the defensive side, offensive side. You don't know all the skill makers yet. But if I know Luke Glass and I know Tyler Shaw and I know that there's a good O line and I know it's the first game of the year, they watched the other game happen. They had a bye first week. Give me Prestonwood. I mean, the two guys wearing the S on their chest. Wrong side again. The two guys wearing the S on their chest, both picking Prestonwood. You might think Walker needs to get a polo instead. So
That's vile
That
from y'all from wearing the other team's colors. I would never
See,
do
that
that
was
to you, All Saints. I
that
want
was
you to
the
know
whole
that.
thing. Was that was going to be the hilarious part of my bit is that I'm wearing the All Saints shirt and then I pick against them, and Ryan just copies my entire flow word for word. Ryan was
Mm.
going to pick All Saints until I said that about Prestonwood.
no,
I have that on.
no, you did not have
No,
that on film. You did
in all
not.
seriousness, this is something that I had to think about for probably half an hour before I made the pick. It's literally just like the Parish game. It's a coin flip game. Both of these were literally coin flip games last year. They're two
Mm,
of the best teams in the sport. And just
for
the
sure.
stones on both of the programs to go out and do this 2 years in a row, weeks 1 and 2. It's amazing, and it's why we follow the sport. So we'll be watching that one very, very closely. I might be pulling for Prestonwood slightly because quite literally my career might be over if All Saints wins. I will I'll retire and no context will take my place or something. Well, we have a buy sell agreement. But that being said, We will now move on to the second game of the slate, the game that I will be live on site and in person for in Dallas, Texas. Bishop Lynch versus Midland Christian, number 5 in TAPS D1 versus number 4 in TAPS D2, where the Ponies are a 6.5-point favorite. This Friday, Midland Christian will take the 5-hour journey down I-20 to do battle with the Friars of Bishop Lynch. Midland fell in their opener to Graham, but they only allowed 17 points to the 4A power. Lynch beat Division IV First Baptist, but they gave up 48. Not great. The flip side is that Lynch's offensive line is elite, and that was proven behind 5 touchdowns from running back Akani Cruz Barrios, credited to Liam Bell, Cooper Timmons, and Diego Chavez. Are guys like Isaiah Matthews, Brady Young, and Caden Bishop going to be able to blow this up? Keep in mind, First Baptist had college-level prospects as well, such as Corey Thomas and George Anagostas, who were not able to stop this rushing onslaught by the Friars. Is Caleb Cruz going to lock down a Nick Payne or a Zach Williams? Is the freshman Jackson Franco going to be able to torch the Friars secondary with Jarrett Stockstill? Keep in mind, last year, Midland dominated this game out west, holding the Friars to 3 points. I think that Midland loses a lot, but they retain a lot of key defensive pieces. And I just think that they're tough, man, in a way that doesn't show up on the stat sheet. I'm probably shooting myself in the foot by not accounting for bus fatigue, but whatever, we ride. Give me Midland Christian. Give me the points. I think that they very narrowly escape Dallas with a win. Ryan Plug, I better not see this clip on Twitter if Bishop Lynch wins. I know I just locked that in by saying that. I'm just at least make the edit good. That's all that I ask. Walker Lott, I think this is another coin flip game that we have. And I don't know if I'm a little bit jittery after Lynch got lit up by First Baptist, but I don't think that I should be because First Baptist might just be that good. Midland also is a unique situation, whereas the offense isn't always full of firepower, but the defense is just stout. Your analysis and pick for this game on Friday.
Dude, yeah, I don't know. I really don't know where I want to go with this because all the reasoning for both sides makes sense, right? Like a lot of points from Lynch. The guys stepped up. The offensive line looks great. Defensively, give up the 48. That's not great, but would the same thing happen to Midland Christian? Probably, right? So in Midland, that's going to be an interesting thing where, Isaiah Matthews got ejected last week against Graham. Their best defensive lineman is now out. Is that a key piece gone, right?
Out for the game or out for a half?
He was ejected in the second half. So it would be start of the first half, right?
Oh, not so. Wait, was this targeting?
I think he just got ejected.
I forget what we.
I thought it might have been targeting actually too.
I don't know. I forget our source out there.
Regardless, out for the first half, I think.
Yeah. Anyways, I don't really know. This is a lot of can Caleb Cruz go out and just dominate? Can Rowdy Pierce stop the defensive line? Let Franco do his thing. I'm gonna give, to Ryan Plug. We talked a lot about, and I was like, how dare you give me disrespect on the thing when I picked Bishop Lynch, and I was a part of Ryan's video, and I wanted to come on here and say, how dare you, and call him out, call Bishop Lynch out, and pick Midland. But I'm not going to do it. I'm going to pick Bishop Lynch in this one. I think with a freshman quarterback, it's kind of scares me a little bit. Driving 5 hours, being over at Bishop Lynch, it scares me. And some of their key players out for the first half, and I think the offense looks great for Bishop Lynch. I'm going to pick them. So, Ryan Plug, I think if I win, we should do a celebratory thing. So, how about them Friars? Boom. Clip it. You're welcome. Use it and stuff. Yeah. Give me Bishop Lynch.
Ryan Schroeder, we are 1-1. Regardless of what happens in this game, we are getting clipped and thrown on the Bishop Lynch social. So you might as well, whatever you do, make it eccentric. The floor is yours.
No, y'all are just meme baiting, dude. Everyone's just meme baiting at this point. I get a star in one meme, and everyone wants to be like me, huh? Well,
star
Ryan,
is a strong word.
Ryan.
Technically,
Ryan,
I was in it too.
Everyone wants to be like me, I guess. Everyone wants to look like me with my burnt nose and the mic in front of my face that I definitely wish that I would have not have chose. I just gotta say this right now, off rip. off rip, I think that Bishop Lynch isn't inherently a worse team for how many points they let up against First Baptist. Inherently, points with a skill set and offense that First Baptist has, that makes sense for that amount of points to be let up, in my opinion.
On the fifth best team in D1? I'm playing devil's advocate. I kind of believe what you're saying.
What about all the skill makers that are going to go play at the D1 level that are on First Baptist team in some capacity or another? Is that not valid in some aspect? They let up all the points because they don't have a strong defense and there's better line on Bishop Lynch. And that's why they had 5 touchdowns from Akani. What do you, I don't know. I think the problem is that Midland Christian and D2 teams in general are a bit bigger and stockier than, a D4, FBA team that only has 20 to 30 kids per grade. Like, you know what I'm saying? If not less. So I don't know. I'm in the boat right now where I think Bishop Lynch is getting too much hate for the First Baptist amount of points. They still won the game. They still won the game by like 2 touchdowns. Like, let's not act here like they were like they lost. They didn't lose.
It was 12 points if we're wait, no, I think it was
14. It was 14.
Okay.
They didn't lose. It was 2 touchdowns. Just 2 touchdowns.
Okay.
And they played at First Baptist and whatever. First game of the year at the house in Bishop Lynch. A team that it's not bus fatigue though. This is Midland Christian. They play everybody on the road.
Fair.
I'm gonna tell you this right now. Bishop Lynch is winning this game because Caleb Cruz plays just DB, and that's my opinion. Caleb Cruz is one of the best all-around players in all of private school, but that's just his side of the field, right? Is Caleb Cruz going to stop the guys up the middle? Is Caleb Cruz going to stop the 5 touchdowns from Akani Cruz
Yes.
Barrios? No, he's not. No, he's not.
Yes.
He's on the outside.
Yes, bulletin board material.
He's on the outside. Who's stopping him up the middle? I'm telling you, Bishop Lynch is a better team. They got too much flack for the First Baptist game. Give me Bishop Lynch here.
That is the TXPS Retreat DB MVP you're talking about. Put some respect on his name.
am.
Regardless, this is going to be a fun one. We don't pick games that won't be fun to be preview. This is why we always end up yelling at each other about a quarter of the way through the script, is because nobody can agree on exactly how the game's going to go, and somebody has to be right. I'll be very excited if I'm the only one that's on the right side of this game, and it sets me up for a 3rd overall pick record trophy come December. But moving on, we have another game that I think there's a decent chance we will all be split on. This is the number 1 team in SBC 4A. Kinkaid versus the number 2 team in TAPS Division 2, Austin Regents, where Kinkaid is a 13.5-point favorite. This is going to be a fun one. The perennial SPC 4A contenders versus one of the premier programs in TAPS Division 2. A bit of trivia for you both. When was the last time that Austin Regents lost a district game? Give me the year. Walker, what's your best estimate?
It's not. It's within 10, but it's no more than it's earlier than 5. Like 7 years ago.
Ryan Schroeder, your best guess.
I'm pretty sure they lost to Hyde Park. Did they lose to Hyde Park in? No, the reason why you're saying this is because it's a long time ago. I'm gonna say 2016.
The answer is 2015 was the last time that Austin
10
Regents
years ago.
lost
Was it Hyde Park
game. I don't know. It was 2015, and I forgot the team that it was.
We'll look it up.
Just for reference, the some of the songs that topped the chart in 2015 was "Uptown Funk" by Bruno Mars, "See You Again" by Wiz Khalifa and Charlie Puth, and "Trap Queen" by Fetty Wap.
Yeah,
That's even before my time a little bit. I was in 8th grade when those were big. So that just tells you how long that Regents has been done. It was 8th grade / freshman year. I'm trying to make myself seem not quite as old as I am.
No, you got it, bro.
That being said, that just solidifies the consistent domination of this program. But it also only has 1 title in the last decade. Junior quarterback Jack Devine is an incredible talent, and his job will be made easy with guys such as Cade Millington, Blake Smith to make plays out wide. Freshman running back Isaiah Mills also proved to be up to the task in game 1, totaling 120 yards and 2 touchdowns, averaging 7 yards per carry against Lorena. I think the offense is certainly the strength of this Regents team, but the secondary has talent behind Drew Novy, Truett Middlebrook, and the front will be, to quote the great Stu Feiner, ready to roll with Matthew Robb, Ashton Hopkins, and Charlie Burton. But that front will be tested by one of the best backs in the land, Wayne Shanks. Shanks had a modest 80 yards on the ground against Lorena, but he averaged 8 and managed to find pay dirt on the ground, through the air, and through the air again, except for a passing touchdown. Basically, he hit for the cycle. The junior quarterback Ross Wynn looks serviceable, and with receivers such as Peter Luisi, Drake Olson, Tommy Crosswell, and Alexander Donnelly, the Falcon offense is going to be dynamic. You have guys like linebacker Thomas Smith, defensive lineman Odell Wynn, and defensive lineman Henry McFall back on the defense. But I think they have to replace a lot from last year. And honestly, I think Regents returns more, and they will be able to get their lick back on the Falcons this year. Kinkaid held Regents to 15 points last year, and I think there's a chance that they double that point total at least. I'm very high on Regents. Again, this could be familiarity bias because I've seen Regents, I think, more than Kinkaid. I don't see either of these teams just a whole lot because I'm not down in the South anymore. The skill players for Regents really catch my eye, especially or in addition to guys on the front like Matthew Robb, etc. Walker, in past years, I think I'm rolling with Kinkaid just because I know that the defense is always going to be solid. It's Gunter, so that many points obviously isn't necessarily a bad thing. It makes me nervous a little bit. Your thoughts on the contest?
Yeah, this is gonna be an interesting one. I will be at this game. This is the game I will be at this week. I'm very excited about it. Two top 10 teams in TXPS going at it. Um, I think it's an interesting one, especially last year, right? Where um Kinkaid held Regents scoreless for 2 quarters. I don't even know the last time that happened. You know what I mean? Like that's crazy. Also last year was Jack Devine's probably one of his worst games of ever. Um, he was 12 of 22 for 3 interceptions. Um, just not a usual Jack Devine game whatsoever. Um, it's very intriguing. I'm very intriguing. And this was one of the coming out games for Wayne Shanks where he had 160 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground. And that's what you're going to probably see again this year. But I don't think you see a Jack Devine game like that again. I just don't think that at all. So, because of this, and I think overall, I've raved about Regents all year. I told the guys there I was gonna pick them a lot this year because I think they're a really special team this year. I'm gonna pick them again this time. Give me Regents. Do I think Kincaid can win? Absolutely. Wayne Shank's gonna have an all-time performance. And if anyone can lock down this offense, it is Nathan Larned. He's a defensive wizard, and he will have these guys ready to go. But I just think a junior Jack Devine plus all the seniors they have, Drew Novy as well. I think they get it done here. But it's going to be a fun one. I think this is a touchdown-ish game going into the fourth quarter, and to see who can take the win out of there in Austin. So a lot of fun.
Absolutely. Ryan Schroeder, your thoughts on the game?
Yeah, no, I think the biggest thing for I'm just looking at last week's games. Obviously, Gunter, for those who don't know, defending state champions from last year, obviously one of the best teams at their level. They are a 3A team, if I'm not mistaken, 3A team. So Gunter, quality team. On the other side, Lorena, obviously not as great of a season last year, going 2-8. I'm not trying to read into recent opponents. The only thing I actually want to read into from these games at all, if I'm being completely honest, is the fact that Jack Devine went for over 400 all-purpose yards and 5 touchdowns. Like, Jack Devine himself is truly, he has options. He has Kate Millington. He has Blake Smith. He has overall a better asset to work with than Wayne Shanks does. Wayne Shanks, in the opposite vein, in his game, Wayne Shanks was absolutely, you could say, like stops. That was the entire route of Gunter, what they wanted to do. They're like, make anyone else beat you besides Wayne Shanks. Hence why Wayne Shanks only had 80 yards rushing. He only had 23 yards on through the air. And the one pass he threw, obviously, on a whatever wildcat play, he threw a touchdown, but their goal was to stop Wayne Shanks. Regents is going to be in the exact same line of thinking. If they want to beat Kinkaid, The answer is stop Wayne Shanks. That's really hard to do. But Gunter has given you the blueprint. They've given you how to beat Kinkaid. And I think in that same vein, if Wayne Shanks is held to under 100 rushing yards, if he's held to, under 50 receiving yards again, if he doesn't throw a one-off touchdown pass, like he is Kinkaid in some aspect or another. And I feel like that's where Regents is not the same. You have a quarterback who's dual threat. Jack Devine can give you 300 through the air, but he can give you 100 something on the ground. You have assets where, you send Blake Smith out one side. Oh, okay, you got Cade Millington instead. Like, I'm telling you right now, you got Isaiah Mills, freshman running back, giving you 100 on the ground as well. Like, Regents is a more complete offense. And I think in my vein, in my opinion, Wayne Shanks is the better player, probably out of this group of pool of people, but Regents is the better team. Give me Regents in this aspect, in this game.
God, we're gonna.
It scares me because it feels like a familiar place, especially with Kinkaid teams of the past several years, where there's the one guy that's elite, but they don't have as many memorable names as their opposition, but they're just guys there that get football plays done. And I know there's guys there at Kinkaid right now, and it scares me because I don't know quite who they are, and they are very likely to prove me wrong tomorrow.
Yeah.
That being said, I've been wrong before. I'm used to it. I'd say it doesn't faze me, but it still hurts a little bit when you all call me dumb on Saturday morning on Twitter. But that being said, we will now move on to the penultimate game that we will preview. Hyde Park versus Lutheran South Academy, where Lutheran South is an 18.5-point favorite, which is just such an interesting line from the computer. That is also very often wrong. This is just a beautiful battle between two of the dark horses in Division II that we are watching intently to see if they can take a crack at their respective overlords. Hyde Park just absolutely carpet bombed El Paso Cathedral in week 1, 63-0. There are no stats on Max Preps, and I would like to politely request Coach Roby to address that because that makes my previews much easier. But that being said, junior gunslinger quarterback Crawford Moffitt was impressive, and his connection to Houston Shaw is going to be a matchup that Lutheran South will have to game plan heavily for. You add the twin towers of senior offensive lineman Wyatt Smith at 6'5", 225, and junior offensive lineman Simon Johnson at 6'6", 285 to that mix, and the Panthers have a chance to hang a 50-burger come Friday. But the Pioneers have some high flyers of their own. Seniors Braden Robinson and Asia Bradford are two of the better players in Division II. You add in cats like Ikenna Bradford in the secondary, Titus Brooks at linebacker, and Holt Teichman at quarterback, and Lutheran South might look to make a push for second in their district. Ultimately, though, I think Hyde Park has just enough to get this done. I think they've got a little bit more beef in the trenches, and I'm trusting the Moffitt to Shaw connection to lead the Panthers to a 2-0 start. Walker, we've spoken at length about not just how high we are on Hyde Park as sleepers, but also we were a hair away from picking Lutheran South to finish second in their district. Maybe not a hair. I think I pushed more for them maybe to sneak up against Second Baptist, but the conversation was there. This game, I think, is fantastic because it gives two of the premier contenders in the South the chance to do battle and see where they are. I'm curious to hear your opinion on this one.
This is going to be an interesting one. If I was in this city of Houston for this week, I might be at that game because that's a lot of fun. This is a top 10 teams in TAPS Division II. I think it's legitimately, I think they're 7 and 8 in the rankings. This is a game to decide who can really step up to the battle. Talent of both sides, big time weapons, guys that are just unreal. I don't know if I might cut this out, but like, did you see the clip I sent of Braden Robinson where he broke the kid's ankles and then pointed at him while he was running away?
Yes.
Unreal. I've never had that much confidence in my life, I don't think. And I gotta respect that when I see it. It's a lot of fun. It's the teams that are trying to take that stepping stone to be one of the perennial powers in TAPS Division II. And this is a game to kind of shell. For my pick, I've been very high on Hyde Park. I love Crawford Moffitt. You know how much I think Houston Shaw is one of the best athletes in all of Division II and all of TXBS. Ross Roby over there is a match made in heaven. He's going to get these guys going. Couple other guys I know have come in. Simon Johnson, I think, is a true Division One talent. Hayden Bechtel over there, et cetera, et cetera. I'm going to take Lutheran South. I think it's going to be an interesting game. I think this is everyone from Houston, around Houston, has told me you have to watch out for the Pioneers over there at Lutheran South. They're going to look legit in spring and scrimmages. They've looked legit. I think they get it done here. I'm going to hope and put my hope in Asia Bradford, Kenna Bradford, and Brady Robinson and company. I think Brady Robinson and Asia Bradford are two of the just underrated athletes in TXPS every year, just because they're in the what are they southeast part of Houston that is hard to get to for a lot of places. I think they get it done here. I think they put on a show and put the rest of TAPS Division Two on notice and saying, "Hey, we're here." Sorry, Coach Roby. Sorry, the guys over in Austin, but I got to go with the guys from Houston.
Yeah, I think this is the third out of 4 games that Walker and I are split on. So I think this is the makings of a great episode. Ryan Schroeder, 1-1. Which side are you going to tip in the favor of our picks?
Yeah, last year this game, obviously Lutheran South won 41-22. This is a game where I'd say this in general is a D2 matchup, like Walker said, where these teams aren't at the pinnacle of the division, but they're in that up and ready spot. They're the upcoming next up type teams. With that being said, I'll keep it quick here. I think Austin Hyde Park is looking to be one of the better teams. They're looking to give teams at the top of their district, which, in my opinion, I couldn't tell you who I think is more competitive besides them after Regents in that district. In my opinion, right now, I'm going to give Hyde Park an edge on many aspects, at least in their district. And then in that same vein, I don't know if LSA is up to that caliber. I think I'm on record saying that I don't give a lot of credit to SBC 3A. So a 35-9 win in SBC 3A isn't the craziest win of all time, at least in my opinion. And I want to give credit to guys like Braden Robinson. They have skill makers on LSA, but at the end of the day, this is Austin Hyde Park, at least in my opinion, and I think they're going to rise to the caliber. They're going to be a team this year that takes a big step up from where they were even last year.
I selfishly hope that you are correct for the sake of both of our pick records. So that is that, and we will now move on to the final game of the slate, the game that I think we somehow always have on the script when it comes around. Fort Worth Christian versus Houston Second Baptist. SBS is a 13.5-point favorite. Here we go again. I feel as if every year Fort Worth Christian perpetually comes into the season with a lot of hype, and every year I buy in, and it ends up being mid. Listen, I love Tucker Ashford, Cade Crawford, Landon Gigliotta, Bo Pearson, all the guys. I also know that Second loses a lot in Bryce Butler, RJ Lee, Ethan Dishman, Cash Harris, just to name a few. However, if you look deeply at that roster, there's a lot of contributors that come back as well, just not some of the huge names. But the huge names are also there with guys like Cannon Toon, Alan Thomas, etc. I'm not falling into the honeypot like I did last year. Give me Toon, give me Thomas. I will not say that it's an Eagle party, but that's the pick. I bet my house on it.
Wow.
You can have them. Give me
What?
Second Baptist. Oh, I forgot Fort
throw
Worth
it
Christian
back.
was the team I
Yes,
Basic-
throw it
Fourth-
back. As soon as
Yeah.
you said it, I was like, that's who he threw his house on a few years ago.
No,
Technically,
to be
yeah.
to be completely honest, I it was a callback to that. I completely forgot his Fort Worth Christian the first time.
That's
Do it
funny.
again. Houses on Second Baptist. Just run it.
Yeah, technically, Wes Tolleson, they still own your house. You bet their house, and they still own your house from
Right.
the
This
old.
is a double or nothing.
Right. Oh, it's a double owner. What's the double? What are we else?
He's gonna
It's
give
Ryan's house.
his second half. No, no, no,
It's
no,
Ryan's
no.
house.
No,
Double
I
or
don't.
nothing's
Own,
Ryan's
I don't
house.
own anything. This is nothing. You don't want this. I promise.
The double or nothing is is Ryan's Thunder jersey.
Oh,
Wow.
goodness gracious. Just give him the All Saints ball
Well-
behind you at this point.
It's that too. I don't think they would accept that.
They don't want that. They really do not want that. That would be a bad memory.
Anyways, I think this is a fun one. This is number 5 and number 6 in TAPS Division 2 rankings. two top teams that are trying to take that next step. I know Second Baptist went to the state championship game last year, but didn't score that many points, and they lose a lot. And it's going to be interesting to see how they respond this year, especially not being the favorites in their district this year. Fort Worth Christian kind of the same way. Bring them back a lot, bring back the best player maybe in all of Tabs Division 2, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. How do both teams respond this year? For my pick, I think they're going to take their house and take much more. Give me Fort Worth Christian. I don't even think this is an outrageous take, to be honest.
No, I don't think it is.
I think Fort Worth Christian is the better team in this one. I think they're going to show it. I love Landon Gigliotta. He's one of the top quarterbacks in Tabs Division 2, and they have the weapons on the outside. Brock Robinson in the middle, everyone around him. This is going to be a big, big game. I think Fort Worth Christian gets the edge again this year. I think the Cardinals can get it done. I think they get it done by 2 scores, too. I think this is a big win for Fort Worth Christian, and I think they get a job done there for the Borough boys over there in North Richland Hills.
Dude, we do this song and dance every year. There's so much hype, and there's legit prospects on the team. It never, ever materializes. I'm not saying it won't this year, and I'm not saying I don't like the guys there. I put my hand on the stove 3 times, and at some point, my evolutionary biology is going to kick in and say, stop touching the dadgum stove. This is the year I stop, and I'm sure this is the year the stove's off. But I'm going to fall back on what I know. And I've already given my pick. I just feel like I have to justify it because now I'm scared that I'm wrong. Ryan Schroeder, give the pick.
Well, you already gave up my house, so I don't know what you wrote in the contract already. I feel like I'm already obligated to already give an answer that's on the side of you. I don't know why, but no. All seriousness, I'm obviously not going to get burned by it either. Fort Worth Christian is a team every single year that I feel like we just really, really fall into. Whether it's it's not the same as the 7-on-7 St. Mike's, but it is. It does fall in the category of teams that we really gas ourselves up on. People are probably going to be like, "What are you talking about?" After the loss last week by 28 to LSSS. But for those who don't know, that's 18. I can't do math. But for those who don't know, that's the 5-star quarterback, right? At Legacy School of Sports Sciences. So that's not a bad loss either. Second Baptist is clearly starting their season this week, heading up to Fort Worth. Yeah, I mean, give me Cannon Toon, give me Alan Thomas, give me that company of people. I'm really high on Landon Gigliotta, and I'm really high on Tucker Ashford. But at the end of the day, if you go Landon Gigliotta for against Cannon Toon, you go certain guys against each other. I don't know. They don't play obviously offense isn't versus offense, and defense obviously isn't versus defense. So I could take Tucker Ashford on one side and take Cannon Toon on the other side, but those guys have to face each other. And in my opinion, I think Cannon Toon is just an elite quarterback presence. And I honestly just think that Second Baptist is a team that overall I have more faith in D2 than I have faith in Fort Worth Christian in D2. So you're just going to have to give it to me straight. I got Second Baptist here over Fort Worth Christian.
I don't know if there's a single pick on the slate that I feel really good about.
I know. That's so serious.
Which means it means it's a great week. Yeah. I mean, it truly is. When we're in the preseason like this, there are some years where we're like, man, we really got to scramble to find games that are worth it. And now it's like, this week will probably decide the pick record for the rest of the season. Just understand that now.
Wes and I are different on 4 out of 5 games.
No, if one of y'all swings a 4-0, it's quite over. Literally, you can't come back.
It is so incredibly hard to claw back, especially once we get late in the season and we see all the teams that have common opponents and all of our picks are the same. Yep. This week is the pick record. I don't know. I now feel like I'm going to throw up, which means it's probably a good time to wrap up the episode. But that being said, 5 great games coming at you on Friday. I will be at Bishop Lynch and Midland Christian. Walker will be at Austin Regents versus Houston Kinkaid. Ryan Schroeder will be in the command center, getting content to you faster than you can digest it. The boys are back. Texas Private School football is back for a second week, and we are going to provide as much coverage as we possibly can. That being said, as always, I have been 1/3 of your hosting crew, Wes Tolleson. Walker Lott and Ryan Schroeder have fantastically been themselves. We will see you next week in the Week 2 review. See you later.